So I kinda play a lot of Mario Kart hacks in my free time, to the point that I've genuinely been referred to as the Mario Kart hack guy by someone in the past. After years of pretty much sheer activity, the creator of the first ever decent Mario Kart DS hack, called Melber, decided to post a video to his YouTube channel of this game called Neodori Forever that he said he worked on with some friends. As a thank you gift for his amazing work on his hack Army Kart, I decided I'd buy his game and see what it has to offer. It was definitely not the type of game I was expecting from a Mario Kart modder. Neodori Forever is a game where you just drive a car around, drifting, while listening to some pretty solid retrowave music. This doesn't seem to be trying to do anything other than that, and it most definitely does not have anything else to really offer. After having played this game for what feels like 5 hours, but was actually just 2 hours, I can say it accomplished its goal pretty well. It controls nothing like Mario Kart, which was definitely something that took me a while to wrap my head around. While this game does support controller, it's best played with a D-pad or keyboard instead of the circle stick. You just move left or right, can hit a button to make your car use up its full boost meter to just shoot forward a bunch, and obviously you can drift with the drift button. While I thought it was weird that when you started boosting you couldn't really stop, the control that felt the most off when I came in expecting some Mario Kart is that when you're drifting, you actually just want to let go of your controller instead of continuing to hold the direction you want to drift in. You also do jolt quite a lot whenever you end a drift, which you can kind of abuse by constantly just cancelling drifts to make sharp turns, which I never really did since it just felt really boring to do. This definitely isn't bad, but the drifting is something you need to be pretty conscious of, as it took me far too long to figure it out myself. That being said, this game is one of those games that you play pretty brainlessly. It has the same fun factor of games like Bloons, RuneScape, Cookie Clicker, strip mining in Minecraft, and the like. It's a game where you're just kinda supposed to vibe while casually driving and drifting your way through a bunch of environments. The only caveat is that when you hit other cars, you lose all your speed, but they do explode, which is kind of a cool trade-off. There's also the fact that you also lose gas over time and when you hit things, which you can only replenish from these floating gas cans that randomly spawn throughout the many different stages. They're probably the things that end my runs most often. Half the time I felt like there was literally no gas to be found anywhere, and then sometimes something like this would happen, where about 50 gas cans just spawned. The other issue I have is that they have a perfectly accurate hitbox, which doesn't seem to be the case with the lightning power-up. It's not a deal breaker or anything, but it would be nice if it was just slightly larger than it visually looks, so there isn't just this weird amount of precision needed in between just drifting all over the place kinda randomly. Speaking of random, there's a few random elements to give you a small degree of difficulty while you're driving to keep you entertained. There's the gas problem, which I just talked about, but there's also cars driving both ways on the road that you do have to avoid. There's also cop cars. If you go through one of these little yellow warning signs, a cop comes up behind you and tries to hit you, and then it goes in front of you and tries to swerve into you again. But if you just don't hit the warning sign, they won't spawn at all. Also, some stages don't just end when you finish. They have a little boss fight, if you will, at the end of them. Once you drive enough on a stage, some completely random dialogue appears, and now you have to consistently drive faster than this new car that just showed up. I know it's completely random because this one guy was talking about getting off his farm as we drove through a tunnel. This is the one mechanic in this game that I genuinely don't really like because it's actually unfair sometimes. Most of the time, you just keep driving and drifting along and beat the boss battle pretty easily, but half the time these bosses show up exactly when I hit the side of the road, so I not only lose the battle with them, but I also have to drive for like 10 minutes to have a rematch because you instantly lose a level when that happens. That's not that big of an issue though, because this game is just so relaxing to play. I just turn my brain off, listen to some solid music, and look at the absolutely stunning visuals, and I pretty much get back there in no time. While they can be a tiny bit buggy in extremely rare scenarios, the levels and cars around you just generally look absolutely phenomenal and wrap around at the perfect time. There's also some pretty well placed indicators when you're about to have to drift around a corner or when cops are approaching you. The only real complaints about the visuals I had is that sometimes I felt like cars rendered a bit late and it led to me hitting them from time to time, but I really can't put into words just how much I love the graphics and general aesthetic of this game. It's genuinely one of the most visually pleasing games that I have seen in probably the last decade, and I could really just stare at it for hours while playing, which I will continue to do whenever I feel like just chilling for a bit. The only other issue is with the audio. There's not any bad music, sound effects, or anything like that. It's just that there's not enough of it. There's maybe like 4 to 6 songs, and I would definitely recommend listening to them on Strobotano's channel. They're pretty great pieces of music to listen to, even isolated on their own. I would really just appreciate having more of it to listen to, because it was all so great. The only real issue with the audio though is that some of the music is quieter than the other music, but the sound effects and whatnot are generally all around the same audio levels, so it really stuck out like a sore thumb when the music was sometimes quieter. That's pretty much all there is to this game though. There's just tons and tons of beautiful environments, pretty solid controls, and most importantly, just a phenomenal overall aesthetic that just flows really well. It is very fun to just drift around while listening to the music and looking at the scenery wrapping around you. The only slight issue I'd realistically have that's genuinely an issue is if there's no endless mode in this game once you beat all the different missions, but it is a pretty long game, so I'm not sure if that's the case yet because I haven't even gotten close to finishing all the different levels. That being said, the game devs are still updating this game pretty frequently, and considering the somewhat small community for this game, maybe they'll even manage to see my video and go about fixing the few issues I did have with this game. While I would definitely recommend picking up this game, especially if you'd really just enjoy vibing out and playing something relaxing, due to the fact that this game really just has one thing going on, even if it's done extremely well and was very enjoyable to me personally, I'm gonna have to give it a 2 out of 5.